Kranthi Bathini, equity strategist at WealthMills Securities, joins us this morning. Kranthi, lovely having you back this Monday morning after what a decisive weekend that we've seen, with fear, with panic, with escalation, and now, of course, a sense of peace and tranquility in the valley. And that seems to be the mood being reflected in the markets as well, doesn't it, Kranthi?
Absolutely, Kartik. The pendulum has been moving between extreme pessimism and optimism. That's
Right.
what we have been witnessing from the last past 1 week, and the developments in the border. These are all creating a very constructive moves in equity markets, Kartik. What we can sense is, but the foreign portfolio investors, the significant point to ponder upon right now is, despite of these lingering worries, the foreign portfolio investors have been infusing money in Indian markets.
Right.
That led the markets to sustain about 24,000 level. And from there onwards, the de-escalation of tensions, given this kind of exuberant and a strong move in the market, and the VIX, which is the fear index, which was hovering above 20, now came below 20, now at 18%. That has been cooling off. That gives some more strength to the bulls to move further. So by and large, Indian markets in a positive territory. And from here onwards, if we see the slew of de-escalation news, then definitely markets are going to bound to go up and may test a new highs also. That can be possible. But the positive things, what we need to see is the global markets also giving a positive indication. The trade deal between US and China can be a positive trigger for the global markets in the medium to short term. We had a decent earnings season in India, the Q4 earnings season, and the overall FY 24 and 25, the financial year results are concerned. There were completely negative, no negative surprises. So by and large, it's a decent earnings season. And what we can expect is some kind of earning upgrades in the coming quarters. That's where the market is right now looking forward. And always the stock prices are slaves to earnings. Okay, if we could able to deliver decent set of numbers in the coming quarters, definitely market can be forming a strong base at this point of time.
Right, forming a strong base at this point of time. But Kranthi, let's look at some of the domestic as well as the global factors that may impact the mood of the market and investments, not just retail investments, but you're talking about foreign portfolio investors as well. Well, one fear which now seems to also be registering in the India VIX index, which you talked about, is the fact that tension seems to have eased between India and Pakistan for now, and that is giving the fillip to the markets today. But then there are also other factors like inflation data, which is likely to come out end of this week. And in addition to that, the overall consumption story, which was meant to pick up in the first quarter of this financial year, I think some of those data points are also going to be absolutely vital for India to track, especially with the tax incentive which the government has given to Indian consumers, which kicks in from the 1st of April. So some uptick in consumption and some data on inflation. How impactful do you think those data points will be on the mood of the markets?
Absolutely, Kartik. And the inflation we can expect due to the softening of the crude oil prices and also the input raw materials are concerned, we can expect some kind of a cool off with respect to inflation is concerned. And that's where the market has been gaining strength at this point of time. We might, when the Federal Reserve, which is in a dilemma to make the measures with respect to the rate cut policy measures are concerned, they are in a wait and watch mode. But whereas in India, we can expect another next couple of monetary policies. We can expect bare minimum of 25 basis points of each from the next coming monetary policies. That's where the market has been gaining the strength that we can expect. The inflation can be in a comfortable level, and also the monsoon, we can expect a early strong good monsoon. Okay, that also one of the key indicator which is giving the strength and making the market move in a positive territory.
All right. And what about other global factors? Of course, you did speak about the US Fed, but then what else to do with Donald Trump should markets expect? Simply because India was supposed to clinch the deal first with the US, but guess what? It looks like China is beating India to it. And UK seems to have already beaten both India and China. So the trade tariffs which were announced by Donald Trump, and then the 90-day pause, and it seems that Donald Trump is well on his way to stitch up as many critical deals as he can before that July deadline of the 90-day pause passes. So as far as Donald Trump and tariffs are concerned, can we now assume that some sort of a truce, some sort of a trade deal will definitely be struck, and those tariffs were imposed just to spook markets, just to spook countries and their leadership, and eventually Donald Trump will ensure that there is some deal going through, and that deal going through is likely to augur well for Indian markets as well?
Kartik, yeah, you are absolutely correct. The kind of vocabulary he was used to use, okay, from a unilateral movement to now he is running at bilateral discussion. So we can expect some kind of positivity in terms of some progress, okay, in terms of the trade deals are concerned. Of course, India's last 10 days and all our focus have been shifted to somewhere the crucial things of the border tensions. But now, definitely, India is going to focus on the trade deals with US in the coming next couple of weeks. So we can expect some kind of a trade deal that's going to emerge. But by and large, Karthik, the statements and the statements that do comes from US administration that has been always contradictory. That's where the greater confusion is getting created. See,
Right.
just before on 8th or 9th, the kind of commentary that came from Vice President of US, we are no way involved in US and, India and Pakistan, Pakistan tensions. And the next day, there the people declared the peace and the statements. So that
Right.
kind of contradictory statements are creating some kind of ambiguity with respect to the credibility of U.S. administration is concerned. One day they talk about white, and the other day they talk about the same thing as black. Okay, that's where the critical uncertainty they are creating. By and large, thanks, there is some kind of a strong progress we are making in terms of the trade deals are concerned. Coming
Right.
to the Federal Reserve is concerned, I feel sorry for Jerome Powell. He has been facing the pressure from all the ways. One hand, Trump calls him with his own way. Sometimes he calls him as a good friend, or sometimes he calls him as a fool.
Yeah.
and and uh, and and I feel sorry for Jerome Powell. He need to face the pressure from the economy and the trade tariff.
But he seems to be
And he
taking the pressure fairly well, Kranthi, doesn't he? He seems to be taking the pressure fairly well, because he has not budged 1 inch. He has not given US President Donald Trump the rate cut that he has been so after.
absolutely, absolutely. He's facing that pressure, but he's sticking to the data at this point of time. But he is also not sure how the data is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think nobody can be sure of that. I want to come back to everything that has transpired in the last 4 days or so, Kranthi, 4 or 5 days now, starting May 7th, and the kind of commentary that has come in between China and Pakistan, and that seems to be a little worrying. And would it turn to be worrying for trade and markets or not? I want to get your understanding, because at one point China was in fact trying to pressurize India to de-escalate when India had nothing to do with escalation in the first place. India was only retaliating to Pakistan's escalation, and also saying that China stands by Pakistan in protecting Pakistan's sovereignty. Pakistan, on the other hand, saying that it is thankful to China for China not thinking about, and if I quote Shehbaz Sharif, not thinking about profit and loss at this critical juncture. So what does this tell us about Pakistan and China bonding closer together? And is this likely to impact trade between India and China, and hence an impact on the markets?
I think we need to closely observe the trends, how they are going to progress in the coming couple of weeks. It's extremely crucial. These are all strong bilateral statement that has come, and where bilateral relationships in terms of the trade, in terms of the other global international relationships are concerned. But what we need to see is ultimately these bilateral relationships, even though they do mention we don't look at the profit and loss, but ultimately what transpires them is what are the gains and the losses. That's what the bilateral relationships are at this point of time. But whether these gains or losses are short term or long term, that's where these statements transcribed over a period of time. But by and large, these are the sensitive issues. Closely, we need to monitor how things are going to be.
All right, Kranthi Bathini, let's leave it at that this Monday morning. Thank you so much, as always, for your vital
Kartik.
inputs right here.